This video was made possible by our generous supporters on Patreon.
Area confirmed secure. Lavender safe to travel. Escorting her out of the building now.
When does paranoia become real? When does it become justified? You just heard the news on the radio. There's a bomb alert. Your survival instincts start to take over. You start to remember all the attacks that have happened in the past few years, and you start to wonder if this may be it for you and your kids who are sleeping right next to you on a London-bound train. The train attendant rushes along nervously and talks to someone on the phone. She's clearly startled. Meanwhile, someone's been sitting on the toilet for a suspiciously long time. Here it comes. Fight or flight. What do you do? This is the kind of emotions that Bodyguard plays with. Visceral and drenched in survival instincts. The show opens with a scene that feels like the climax of an already brilliant show. The urgency of a bomb threat on a speeding train, the tension and paranoia that come along with it is more than enough to keep you on the edge of your seat, hoping to see more. This isn't by any means a big action set piece like one you would find in the opening of a Bond movie, but it plays with your emotions in almost the exact same way, hooking you from the thrilling opening scene as the intensity of the pressure of the situation escalates, seemingly forever, until it reaches its own climax in just the first 20 minutes. Here's the gist of the show without getting into spoiler territory. David Budd, played by Richard Madden, is a cop who's appointed bodyguard for Julia Montague, the Home Secretary in charge of Internal Affairs, played by Keely Hawes. Threats of possible future terror attacks permeate the atmosphere of the show, and it's all surrounded by behind-the-scenes political moves that allow for tension to keep rising to an outstanding climax. But what's interesting about Bodyguard is that the show never really becomes what you think it's gonna be. There are many clever twists sprinkled throughout to shake it up enough that the show ends up being something quite different in the end. The show definitely qualifies as a drama, almost being a pure political thriller. But the feeling that something could happen at any moment never leaves you, and the creators understand that quality should never be sacrificed for quantity.
On police! Get down! Stay down!
When it comes to its action sequences, they are few and scattered, but are always executed to near perfection, just enough to give the show a nice jolt of adrenaline to make it stand out from other, more serious dramas. But Bodyguard never feels like anything other than grounded and realistic, going for suspense and tension rather than Hollywood-type action sequences. The show's constant is definitely tension. Pretty much every scene in the 6 episodes is as absorbing as a scene can get. This is in part thanks to John Lee's cold and sharp cinematography, which fits the political London setting of the show very well.
Command, SO15, have been working round the clock, pursuing links to the first.
Add to that the excellent script and performances, and this show really gets to shine. This is especially true for the in-between moments, which never cease to be anything other than super interesting. Everything from the political and police jargon will challenge even the most clever of viewers. The simplest situations and conversations are shot tightly and up close. This elevates even the most mundane situations to a whole new level of restlessness, making for a truly uneasy viewing experience for many scenes. The potential for an attack is constant, and almost every situation comes with some kind of twist or turn. The biggest ones definitely come during mid-season. There are quite a few scenes in the show where my heart rate went up to pretty uncomfortable levels, especially during episode 2 and 6. There's a large amount of tension in the air that's rare in shows where you know that anybody could die at any moment. It's a bunch of time bombs, literally and figuratively, moving around you, and you just know that they could go off and probably will, you just never know when. And it's tough to watch because the characters are so well written, especially David, that you care for him, and there's a level of attachment and fear that something bad's gonna happen at any time. It makes for a very tense and interesting viewing.
Sergeant David Budd, Metropolitan Police.
Richard Madden's performance here is outstanding.
Dave.
He's able to present an emotional vulnerability that's not commonly seen in characters like the one he plays. David Budd has a very complex personality. He drinks a little bit too much, has problems at home, and clearly suffers from some degree of PTSD. It really makes you think if he'd be the best option for a younger James Bond. Keely Hawes is also great here as the manipulative politician who seems to have some unknown moral conviction.
That doesn't require apologizing for the past.
She's looking to legislate a controversial bill known as RIPA 18, which would give the security services added surveillance powers. She's considered by many to be a manipulative sociopath, always looking for the upper hand in every situation. And on the other hand, you have Madden's former career in the military and a good amount of PTSD, which makes for very interesting conversations with fantastic chemistry between both actors. The show was created and written by Jed Mercurio, a former doctor and Royal Air Force officer that has been ranked among UK television's leading writers. His trademarks date back to his earliest work, Cardiac Arrest, a medical drama he created in the 90s under a pseudonym while still working as a doctor. The series drew a considerable amount of attention due to his realistic depiction of doctors in the British National Health Service, replacing perfect representations of good for flawed characters that would often show the dark side of their personality. This theme remains constant in Bodyguard, where all of the characters feel like real people, complex, flawed, and with often misunderstood motivations. Unfortunately, the series does go off the rails a bit about midway through after a certain rather unexpected event takes place. Overall, the show is tense, thrilling, and never dares to insult the viewer's intelligence. It manages to keep the suspense at a constantly elevated level, without ever becoming boring or pretentious. But I think the main reason you should give Bodyguard a shot is because of how fear and paranoia is presented in even the most courageous of characters. David Budd is placed in so many situations that could very well end his life and the lives of others. Instead of being this stiff, machine-like bodyguard, Richard Madden shows his emotional range extremely well. And instead of seeming to be in control at all times, sometimes he looks afraid, irritated, and, well, human.
Stay down!
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Have you seen Bodyguard yet? What do you think about it? Comment below to let us know. And if you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you enjoyed the video, you can just click on the red subscribe button and you'll see more videos like this one on a regular basis. Special thanks as always to our awesome supporters over at Patreon. You're the reason why we can continue to upload videos to YouTube, as this hobby of ours takes more and more time. If you want to help the channel grow a bit more and you'd also like to see our videos earlier than everybody else, be sure to visit our Patreon. As little as $1 means the world to us. Anyway, thank you, and we'll see you next time.